surprise, to be sure, but a welcome one.
What's up, and thank you for tuning in. Today's video, we're going to be discussing some surprising and exciting news we got just a couple of days ago. So this is something that I did not anticipate to be talking about anytime soon, but we're here for it. This is what it's all about, baby. So we got some brand new reveal information and pre-orders for Neca's next set of dolls for Chucky 1-to-1 scale replicas. Now, obviously, we know that Neca had gotten the license for Chucky exclusively, at least to make these 1-to-1 scale dolls, since Trick or Treat Studios had started making them. But, obviously the tides have changed here, and finally we're getting some new information on some new dolls here. They've had the exclusive license, I think, for almost a year and a half, I think, since like January 1st, 2024. After all this time, we're finally getting some information on some new dolls, and I'm personally really surprised. I had heard some rumors, some whispers that maybe they were going to start with an evil, normal face Child's Play 2 Chucky or something like that. But no, we're jumping all the way to the end, and we're getting dolls based on the TV series. So this is incredibly exciting. I did not expect this at all. I thought maybe we would get, again, Child's Play 2, maybe Seed, something, but no, we're getting the TV series, and not just Chucky, we're also getting Tiffany. Neca has added photos of both dolls, or at least both characters, and I can't even really call them prototypes. They're really not prototypes. Neca is being pretty upfront with what these are. These are, they're saying screen-used models. I don't know the exact puppets or anything on these, but I know that these are from Alterian, and I know that Alterian is going to be working on these dolls. So again, the ones that we're seeing are as official as they can get, but they are not indicative of exactly what we'll be receiving with that final product. Obviously, with these 1-to-1 scale items, from the original Chuckies to their Megan, there's always some variations. We had that during Tots' run with the Chucky dolls too, so that's to be expected. So the unfortunate thing about that, though, is there's not much to say today about the dolls other than they exist, or more rather, they will exist eventually. At least maybe next year, hopefully, they will exist. But what we see here is a model, again, provided from Alterian. You can tell that these dolls, they very much look like they have a silicone skin, something that I'm very sure that the retail dolls will not have. That, again, was something we ran into with the Bride dolls from Neca, where they were originally solicited with silicone skin, but of course you can't really make that at the retail level. So hopefully, maybe this is indicative of the molds they will be using, or the expressions, or anything like that. But again, hopefully we'll, as the year goes on, we'll see actual prototype images of the physical real dolls we will be getting. And I am hopeful for this. I really do enjoy a lot of the designs from the Chucky TV series. If this face design is very similar, or the one that we are getting, I'll be happy with it. There's a couple others I also would be totally fine with. So, either way, this looks great. And I'm also curious kind of how it's going to work, because Chucky's appearance, it doesn't drastically change from season to season, but I'm somebody who feels that he looked his best in season 3. It had a lot to do also with the hair. I feel like they really nailed the hair in that season with the bangs and the length and everything. And this very much looks like a season 1, or maybe even a season 2 more rather. But again, I'm not 100% on that. Somebody can correct me, I'm sure. But either way, I'm really curious, what inspiration exactly it's going to take from the TV show designs, the live designs, and also where can this go? Are we only going to get Chucky and Tiffany? Can we get a buff Chucky? Could we get Colonel Chucky? Accessory sets? Nobody really knows right now. But again, that's why I'm making this video, so we can just kind of bullshit and talk about it, because I got nothing better to do. And again, these dolls are going to be developed with molds provided by Alterian, or at least that is the, current solicitation, the current idea. So, that's always a win. If we have anything that was worked on by Alterian, I still am a believer that the Tots Seed dolls were a win. I very much enjoyed those dolls, especially Glenn. I still think Glenn is incredible at the retail level. So, very curious to see what that turns up. And with that comes Tiffany, which I've seen some contention about Tiffany, so let's get into it. Now, I had multiple people point this out to me, because I had looked at it and thought, oh, that looks familiar, and then people pointed out to me exactly why it's familiar, and this Tiffany looks familiar because we have literally seen this Tiffany before. This Tiffany looks to be definitely the mold that was used for the Tots Tiffany head, so that's super interesting for a lot of reasons, most of which the Seed doll is, again, a Seed doll, and there are differences if you look at Tiffany in the series. While, again, Alterian might have used Seed molds or anything like that, again, I don't know their process. I'm not going to pretend to know the magic or anything like that, but I do know that I felt that the actual Tiffany doll looked different than the Tiffany doll in Seed. So I don't think this is a deal breaker, however. I just, again, do find it interesting if we are really getting this. And also, we could get a second doll. We could get the Tiffany doll that has the stitch in the head, because that was very Seed-based. So I'm very curious what this all means. Again, if anything, these photos, I can't stress enough, are not any type of prototypes or indicative of exactly what we're going to be getting. Again, these dolls belong to Alterian, and, we can only assume that these dolls will hopefully look like these dolls. Again, hopefully we'll have more to chew on later this year. And so now we get to be in this fun time again of speculation leading into, more reveals and release information for these dolls. So it's been a minute since we've been able to kind of sit around and be excited and speculate about some Chucky dolls. So in this time, I feel like they just kind of, not even in a negative way, they just kind of gave up on the prototypes. They said, we know that they're going to be different from what you're going to get, so hopefully they look like these. So again, that's what I'm hoping. And everything with Tiffany, again, I do find super curious. It brings up more questions too. It doesn't just bring up, is TV Tiffany essentially just based on Seed Tiffany? It brings up another question. If Neca is soliciting a doll that's based on the prototype that Trick or Treat Studios showed, does that mean that Neca truly did receive license over all of the molds that Trick or Treat Studios had? And how does that work? Are they molds that were from Alterian? Of course, that would make sense that Alterian's molds could move with them to a new company. Or because they were licensed to Universal, if that's a thing. I'm in pure speculation territory. I probably sound like an insane person. That's fine. But again, this is the stuff I'm curious about, because that's a Tots Tiffany from the looks of things. So curious how this is going to boil down, if that means anything, or if it's just Alterian property. And I'm super excited because, again, I love that design of Tiffany, and I do like that doll. I will say, though, if it is literally the exact same mold as the Seed Tiffany from Tots, that's going to be awkward, because I am going to feel like I'm buying the same doll twice. And I don't really want to do that. But again, I am convinced that they will look much different than these here. Speaking of these here, I'm also hopeful a thing that they are able to copy over is the look of the clothes. That is a complaint, at least with Chucky, that I kind of had with the Bride release. I very, very much so enjoyed that doll. I think the Neca Bride, Chucky and Tiffany, especially, for all the kerfluffle of the delays and all that junk, those dolls turned out amazing. And, a couple of years later, I do think they hold up. The foam bodies on mine have held up pretty well. The, friction in the eyes, being able to rotate and everything and not going lazy, has held up very well. So I'm still impressed with those dolls very much so. So if the dolls that we can get here, have a quality build to them and clothes that fit, I'll be even more excited about it. And so if you are that excited, you can go over to Neca's site right now and pre-order them. And, obviously this video is not sponsored at all, but you can go order them. I'm super stoked for them. I am going to be waiting to order them. I do 100% at this moment intend to get both dolls, and unless anything catastrophic happens to them, on the development side to where they just look, poo-poo, I'm not, hopefully not, but I do plan to get them. I'm just going to wait to pre-order them, just because last time I pre-ordered, a couple of dolls from them, it took about 4 years, and they held my money. So I'm gonna wait just to make sure they're coming. They are currently slated for around this time next year, Q1 of 2026. I don't know about that, but I absolutely love the enthusiasm. We're here for it. So, and I'm also really curious, if these dolls get delayed again, is it going to be indicative of other whispers and rumors that kind of, were swirling around the Bride dolls and why those were delayed? There was some fingers pointed in different directions as to what parties were responsible for that. And either way, at the end of the day, we still got some great products, so it is what it is. But, when we're dealing with the actual puppeteers, the actual special effects company, real Alterian here, wondering if these will be streamlined as well. Maybe we will have these in hand in a year. I'd love to eat my shoe on that. And while again, I'm not hopeful for any type of delays, I want them to take their time. I want a quality product. You know, I waited 4 years for the Bride dolls, but it didn't kill me. We got some good dolls out of it. So if the same thing happens here, it is what it is. The better the doll, you know, the happier we're all gonna be. Nobody wants to have something that, you know, falls apart right out of the box or looks like shit. They are currently only up for pre-order on Neca's online store. They've not hit other retailers like Big Bad Toy Store or Entertainment Earth or anyone like that, but I'm sure they will. These are going to be wide general releases. There's no exclusivity that's announced with them, so these should be plentifully available if for whatever reason pre-orders do sell out at some point. Don't sweat it. And also the price. I was 100% anticipating these to be $550, $650 because, you know, the world is horrible right now. You know, the economy's in shambles. But that is where we're at. The fact these are being offered at $450 again multiple years later is really good, because I thought for sure Neca might have taken a loss on those dolls, but you know, it's great to see that they can actually make these dolls somewhat affordable. These were announced a part of Neca's Monster Mayhem event, so they just kind of go through the whole month and announce some really cool spooky shit, which is cool for people like me, because now I'm sitting here making a YouTube video out of it, so it's cool enough, right? But another thing I wanted to kind of mention here at the end of this, it's kind of a little off topic, but still Chucky related, that they announced. We finally got an answer on the blind box releases that they had shown off originally at Toy Fair this past year. And you can order these figures on Neca's site, and these guys, I believe, already have general pre-orders up at sites like Big Bad Toy Store. Again, this video is not sponsored, but it could be if you want to sponsor the next one. But you can pre-order the individual blind box guys, or you can pre-order the set of 6. It's the guaranteed all 6. You can only do that currently on Neca's site. I believe that's a great, though. It means you don't have to buy a bunch of randoms, and you don't have to buy a full case, because I believe the full case is 12, so you'd get 2 full sets, which, you know, who needs that? This is really cool. The other thing that we got with this was the price confirmation. So $150 for the set of 6, and the individual pre-orders are up for $25, and that is not chump change for blind boxes. I think it's not bad for a great Chucky action figure. I think if these were in clamshells and they were on the shelves for $25, that would be a lot different. I think if they had a couple more accessories, it would be a lot different. But, you know, with these guys being so small, I don't entirely disagree with Neca releasing them as blind boxes, but I talked about it in the Toy Fair video where, you know, $20 is probably a good spot. 25 is a lot when you don't know what you're getting. So I'm really curious how these will do. Again, I still intend to get the set of 6 because I really like them. I really enjoy having like an actual like cult army, and I've really been enjoying collecting the Neca horror figures the past several years, and they've had some really great releases. I'm excited for them, but you know, that $25, I'm curious if they'll shelf warm. Maybe they'll even go on sale and we get some for cheap. I won't argue with that. But what do you guys think? Are you going to pick up some blind boxes? And if so, are you hoping to get only one specific Chucky? But more importantly, what do you think about these new dolls that Neca has announced? Again, we are right back at it. The TV series might be canceled, but it lives on in these dolls, guys. We're going to get brand new 1-to-1 scale Chucky, and I think that's nothing but a good thing. I'm excited about it. Let me know what you think. Let me know what other dolls you hope Neca makes, because I'm stoked. I'm thinking Curse of Chucky Stitch Chucky replica is back on the menu, boys. Thank you all so much for watching. Subscribe for more updates on these dolls as we get more information on them, and I will see you next time. Oh God, where the hell am I gonna put these?